it's a bye after a bye week for Baylor last week. The Bears play their annual Thursday night game this week when they travel to West Virginia. Now, Morgantown has historically been quite the valley for Baylor. Bears have never won there in 5 previous trips. So is this the year that losing streak comes to an end?
Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you look at some of those losses, those were some of the worst teams Baylor's fielded in those years, and they happen to be playing in Morgantown. I mean, they lost a lot of games when they lost in those years. And then I also think that this West Virginia team, I mean, the last few seasons, they've had a good defense. I don't think they have a very good defense this year. So you give Aranda an extra few days to prepare, and you have a West Virginia team that maybe isn't as stout defensively as they have been in the past. And yeah, I think Baylor has a good shot to break the streak.
I got to say, I'm still waffling on this a bit. I've just seen too many things go wrong there. Really bad karma. There was a Thursday night game a few years ago. Baylor had a lot of, extra time to practice. They lost 58-14. Of course, they're not nearly as good as this year's team. That was 18. Well, they were decent. They weren't a bad team. They went 7-6 that year. But I don't know. I don't have just a great feeling about it.
That's the testimony of a man who's been to Morgantown a few times.
Right.
I've been there with you at least once. And yeah, it's a weird place. It's a hard place to win. Obviously, it's been hard for Baylor. But I'm with Chris on this one. I think the Bears actually do break that streak. Partially because I've mentioned this on the podcast. I'm kind of picking them to win 2 out of every 3 and to go 8-4. And, this is so I picked them to lose against Oklahoma State, and I was right. I'm picking them to win against West Virginia. I think they're just better, obviously, than West Virginia at this point. The Bears do have some things they need to get sorted out, and we've addressed some of those on here, but I think they're further along than West Virginia at this point. And who knows, maybe the extra time really will help. As Chris said, Dave Aranda is such a schemer in a good way, you know what I mean? Not a schemer in terms of like breaking somebody out of prison or something.
Not like a John Werner schemer.
Right. But no, a schemer. I mean, the guy loves to, break down X's and O's for us. And sometimes it's like, whoosh. but at the same time, you give that guy some extra time, they'll come up with a pretty devious game plan. So
yeah, I also think that with the extra time also helps just from like a mental standpoint as an athlete, because it is so hard in the season to correct things as you go. So you take one on the chin, and if you only have 5 days to kind of get over that loss to Oklahoma State, that's hard. But giving them a little extra time to press the reset button and say, okay, we're not going to go undefeated in Big 12 play. Let's hit reset. Let's go back to taking it a game at a time. I almost feel like that's even more of a benefit than the schemes, is just being able to reset the mentality and say, all right, let's calm down. Let's just go play Baylor football.
Yeah, no doubt. And Dylan Doyle actually talked about it after the Oklahoma State game, that just how refreshing the bye week would be for this team. I think they were really looking forward to it, to kind of reset, as Chris said.